Yeah, two amazing teams, aren't they? It was a fixture full of drama as the title race between Manchester City and Liverpool went the distance, went to the final minutes of the season. Will we see more of the same this time around? Well, to discuss fixtures, predictions and a couple of new faces as well, we've got the Anfield Wrap's Harriet Prior and Manchester City contributor Emily Brobyn as well. Morning to both of you. Emily, we'll have to start with you as champions. You get first dibs. What do you reckon to those first six fixtures? West Ham was a tricky one towards the end of last season.
Yeah, absolutely. West Ham is a tricky start, but hopefully we'll have a full strength defence back for that this time round. We struggled because we had a few injuries in defence. So this time round, I think, looking at the first six fixtures and indeed going into September as well, it could have been worse. So I'm happy with that.
Harriet, Jurgen Klopp's got a knack of finding the newly promoted clubs on the opening day of the season, hasn't he? Fulham, Norwich twice as well. Leeds a couple of seasons ago too. What do you make of that start? Because Fulham, lest we forget, were the last Premier League team to win at Anfield.
Oh yeah, that's bad memories from us. Try and put that to the back of our minds. But if we can't get Norwich this season, it was likely to be another newly promoted team, and it is Fulham, and it's a difficult start. They've had a really good season in the Championship. They'll be wanting to prove that they can stay in the Premier League, and it won't be the ideal start for them at all. But 12:30 on a Saturday away at Fulham, it's quite an exciting one, isn't it? And the next few after that don't look too bad. A few tricky away fixtures in there though.
Tricky fixtures to come for both of you. 15th of October and 1st of April are the two weekends where Manchester City and Liverpool go head-to-head. Is this the first one that you look for now, Emily?
No, actually, the first one I always look for is the derby against United. But this season was different. The first fixtures I looked for were the fixtures around the World Cup break. And into April as well, the fixtures that might land around the Champions League quarter-final and the FA Cup semi-final. Because April is always so congested for us, and that's always the point where it's make or break in 2 or 3 different competitions. So for me, that period was imperative to look at first. But it's going to be a season like no other, isn't it? With the World Cup thrown in there, it's not going to be so much potentially a battle of the best as it is survival of the fittest.
Yeah, and we'll come on to rotation in just a moment as well, Emily. It's a great point that you make. But, Harriet, 4 titles out of the last 5 for Manchester City. How are you going to stop them?
Well, we saw what happened last time. We finished a point behind, so that the season after we came back and stormed it. So I'm hoping that might happen again. But look, they've continued to build and continue to strengthen. And we've seen in the last few seasons how we've managed to push them right to the very end. And hopefully this season, if we can stop a few more of those draws that crept in, especially in the start of the season, and if we can pick up 3 points against one of City and Chelsea, because they were the 2 teams we couldn't pick up points from across the course of the season. So those fixtures will be key, definitely. Looking at Anfield, City come to Anfield first. We need to prove a point there because we don't want to be going to the Etihad in April needing to pick up 3 points. So stopping a few of those draws and hopefully getting a win against City at some point.
Emily, there's a lot to be done in the transfer market from all sorts of clubs between now and the first weekend of the season in August. But at this exact moment, are Liverpool the only team that can stop you?
Oh, I don't want to be arrogant, but being realistic, because it's not in my nature. But being realistic, obviously, I think it's imperative again this season that the teams have the strongest squad to cope with the demand that the fixtures are throwing at us, because it's going to be the longest season ever. And we need the players to be able to rotate and cope with those demands. Obviously, Calvin Phillips looks like he might be coming to the Etihad as well. And I'd potentially look at maybe getting the full back in, and I'd be happy with the squad that we've got then to cope on all 4 fronts, hopefully, and to really fight. But I can't see past being us versus Liverpool again. No chance.
So many times, Emily, over the course of the last couple of seasons, we've heard everyone saying, well, City don't have a recognised number 9. They do now, and he looks quite good, this Haaland bloke. He scored 99 goals last season. But how do you think you're going to get him into the team? Who are the likely players to make way? And will there be any sort of change of formation and approach from Pep, do you think?
Yeah, and we signed Alvarez as well, who's an absolutely remarkable Argentinian forward. So we've gone from having no recognised strikers, because obviously Gabriel Jesus, we play as a winger, having 2. So it's really, really exciting times. And like I say, that really helps with rotation as well. I'd expect Calvin to slot in up front, maybe like a lone striker. And then obviously he's got a plethora of assisters around him, including Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo. And it's just so exciting. And one thing again is that Alan will be fresh because he's not at the World Cup, and Mahrez is obviously waiting for the African Cup of Nations next June. So it's nice that we've got a couple of players who will stay fresh, and I'm very excited about Haaland. He was the one for me. He's the best young player in the world. Well, him and Phil Foden, and exciting times ahead for City fans.
Come on then, Harriet, make a case for me that Darwin Nunes is going to be a bigger success than Erling Haaland.
Oh, we know that Liverpool don't like to immediately sign the big names, do we? So bringing in a Nunes is perfect for us. It's funny because I was actually on Early Kickoff a few months ago and I was talking about Manchester United and who they should sign. I said Nunes because I think he's an exceptional young talent. And we saw when he played against us in the Champions League against Benfica that he was on fire, so electric. He has that positional versatility. He can play across the front three. And with the looks of it, Sadio Mane is going to be leaving this summer and he seems to be the perfect replacement. So physical, young, I think he's got all the attributes that could really transform this Liverpool side. And I can't wait to see how he links up with Diaz and hopefully Salah for a couple more seasons as well. So I think he's going to be such an exciting young talent and his development under Klopp is going to leave us up north.
Just on that point then, Harriet, you said that you expect Sadio Mane to leave over the course of the next few weeks. If it goes into next season and you've signed Nunes and Carvalho and you've lost Mane and cult hero Divock Origi, is that a stronger front line or a weaker front line than last season?
Oh, it's very different, isn't it? I think with Sadio Mane, you had that experience in there. So you'd have to be thinking, OK, who are we going to look to next season for that? We know that Mo Salah is committed to being there next season. We've also got players like Jota who can come in and do a job. There's uncertainty around Minamino's future. I think it leaves us with a Klopp 2.0 forward line, and that's what we've got to be thinking about now. I think as fans, we focus a lot on sentimentality, and that's what Sadio Mane is to us because he's had so many good seasons at Liverpool. But he is 30 years old now, and we have to refresh the squad continually if we want to, make sure that we're successful moving into the future. So I think it will be a really strong front line, maybe a slightly different style of play with Nunes compared to Mane, but still expect it to go, score loads of goals. And who knows, there might be a golden boot competition between Nunes and Salah.
Emily, you mentioned it as well, that it is going to be a season like no other, with it stopping in November for 6 weeks. And I guess from a City perspective, that could be a negative in the fact that the last two seasons, that November to January period is when you've really put your foot down. So even though you're such a strong squad, you've had so much success, are you wary of the unknowns of this mid-season World Cup?
Oh, 100%. That's my biggest fear because football is all about momentum and building that consistency and that resilience. And I will admit that I will potentially be watching the World Cup through my fingers because I will be so nervous because we've got a squad full of international players and I'll be terrified of any of them picking up an injury and that disrupting our season as well. So there's a lot of unknowns coming into the season and there's just fixtures here, there and everything. So, I mean, it's going to be a strong test, but we should have the players, world-class players to deal with it and hopefully we'll be retaining the title again. But, who knows where we'll go with regards to the Champions League. Hopefully we can build on the experience of just falling short in the past and we go on further this season. I'd like to be in Istanbul come June.
Yeah, I'm sure Liverpool would be too. Just a final one then, Harry, in terms of the rotation of squads and that sort of thing. It was a drum that Jurgen Klopp was banging for most of last season, about 5 subs. How helpful could that be, particularly to the bigger clubs with the better squads, that in this cramped season, you got the chance to make 5 changes within a game?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to make a huge difference. And for player preservation as well, it's necessary with the amount of games that they're going to have to pack in both before and after the World Cup. And like Emily just mentioned there, that period after the World Cup is going to be really key because we're coming back. We're going to have to see if any players have picked up any injuries and what state that we're in. So having the option of 5 substitutions and being able to use some of the squad depth that Liverpool have really created now after a few good seasons, a good transfer strategy, that it will make all the difference.
Emily, Harriet, lovely to speak to both of you. We look forward to renewing rivalries when the new season comes around. Thank you.
Thank you.